Continuing with Mehera-Meher, Volume 2, page 245. Oh, sorry, 345. A new house was to be built at Meherazad, and Baba suggested that Mehera and the other women design it. Mehera and Meru sat together and discussed the plans. They decided that Baba's bedroom would be upstairs. It was more private this way, and Baba would be more secluded, which he always preferred, on his own floor of the house. Baba himself said that the old kitchen Walu had made when they first came should be built permanently with cement. Another room for the kitchen was to be added as well. We gave the plan of a double kitchen with 2 rooms, Mehera said. While the new house was under construction, the Meherazad men and women Mandali shifted temporarily to Ahmednagar on 15 February. Mehera, Mani, Meru, Goher, Norina, Elizabeth, and Walu stayed at the home of Goher's parents, and Kitty and Rano took turns staying there also. 3 years earlier, the women had stayed at Pop's place for 3 weeks while repairs were done at Meherazad. This time they would be there for 7 months. And the sidebar says Pop's place has since been torn down. The men stayed in a nearby house called the Ice Factory Bungalow. Goher's father, Rusi Pop, went to live there also, but he did the marketing for the women during their stay. Goher's mother, Khorshid, and Goher's sister, Roshan, moved elsewhere. Baba spent his days in Ahmednagar and Mehrabad, where a new Mandali hall was also under construction, and his nights at Giara's cottage near Meherazad. Mehra described their new living accommodations, where Goher's family's clothes cupboards had been locked up, but the rest of the furniture, all very nice, was left for the women's use. It was very convenient. Baba had a bed in a room on the northeast side of the bungalow where he rested in the afternoon. Then came Norina and Elizabeth's bedroom in the main section of the house. The next room was used as a drawing and dining room, with a carpet, lovely furniture, a partition, and then a library cupboard. There was a biggish bedroom where we, Mehera, Mani, and Meru, slept. The women Mondelez fast continued at Pop's. We had maybe just a cup of tea in the morning. Kaka would cook separately for Nerina and Elizabeth at the ice factory, where they went for their lunch. The rest of us ate at 3 or 4 o'clock with high tea, vegetables, chapatis, bread and butter, and tea. We used to get hungry in the morning doing our work. By 3 o'clock, we were starving. They were reading Goodbye, Mr. Chips. We were naughty. We teased Mani, who more than anyone else hated to fast, by reminding her how lovely some nice crisp potato chips would taste right now. Someone else would start talking about meat patties. Our mouths would start watering. We were trying to make each other even hungrier. In the afternoon, we ate so much to make up for the morning. It had to last until the afternoon of the next day. Later, the women got so accustomed to this routine that, even after the fast period was over, they had breakfast in the morning, high tea at 3 or 4 o'clock, and no supper. After staying at Pop's for a month, on Saturday, 14 March, Baba took the women to Bombay in Elizabeth's Green de Soto. There they stayed for the first time at Nariman and Arnavaz Dada Chanji's new apartment, Ashiana. Nariman moved into Meherji's with Baba and some of the men, while Arnavaz stayed with the women and took them sightseeing and to a few films. The sidebar says Ashiana means nest. Mara had brought a duffel bag with their own pillows and sheets for Baba. She knew that Baba too would like to see a movie while in Bombay, so in the duffel bag she had packed a pair of his favorite shoes, a comfortable pair, made of soft English leather with an open design, so his feet would not get hot. They looked very smart, Mara noted. Baba looked so nice in them, and he loved them because he felt comfortable in them. Baba wore them 2 or 3 times in Bombay. Although Baba's visit to Bombay was kept strictly private, with no public darshans or other Baba lovers called, Alu Kambada's cousin, Tamina Umrigar, had recently married, and Alu wished to have her cousin's wedding sari and other new garments blessed. She came to Ashiana to lay them at Baba's sandals, kept on display there. Much to her surprise, she found Baba himself sitting in the apartment. Baba took the bundle of clothing and gave one blouse apiece to Mera and Mani. I felt so happy and blessed, Alu recalled. On 20 March, Baba and the women returned to Ahmednagar with Adi Sr. driving the DeSoto. During the drive, they often passed wandering gypsies. Invariably, Baba drew their attention to them, remarking that he envied their life. Isn't that a good life? He asked Adi. Why is Baba always saying this about a gypsy life? Adi wondered. Later, he realized that Baba had been hinting about the new life to come. And one of the sidebars says, in Ahmednagar, Baba began spending the night at Rusi Pop's rather than at Giara's cottage. And the other sidebar says, while Baba was away on his subsequent trips, Adi Sr. was instructed to visit Rusi Pop's in the morning and evening and to send Baba a telegram twice a day about the women after speaking with Goher. His his cable invariably read, quote, all's well, end quote. Back to the text. Adi had tied their luggage on the luggage rack, but soon after they passed La Navla, something blew off the top. Mara saw it fall on the left side and told Baba. Adi stopped the car, got out, and found one of the bags on the road. Unfortunately, they did not realize that the duffel bag with Baba's nice shoes had fallen off a mile or so before. When they reached Ahmednagar and discovered that the duffel bag was missing, Mara felt terrible. I told Baba to scold Adi as to why he didn't take care to tie the bag properly. We had put everything on top so there would be more legroom in the back seat, but now I regretted doing so. A few days after returning from Bombay, Baba left on a long and arduous must journey. It was the height of summer, to Calcutta, and then to Rishikesh in northern India. He was gone for almost a month. And the sidebar that I already read, referring to the cable that invariably read "All's Well," um, is for this. While Baba was away, the women occupied themselves with helping Donkin on his book, The Wayfarers. Mani met with Don privately in a separate room where she pronounced the Urdu names in his account so that he could spell them correctly. Don had also drawn a color map of India to accompany the book, but it came back from the printer full of misprints. Mani, Mera, and Meru took on the job of correcting them. There were hundreds of copies, Mera remembered. Don was very particular. We were told to do the corrections so perfectly that no one could tell they had been corrected. We were given razor blades, erasers, and black ink. In one place, we had to put a B instead of a P. In another, an O instead of an E. We did it every morning, sitting near the door where there was more light. A certain number every day. It was painstaking work, but I liked doing it. Before Baba returned, some goats wandered into the garden and nibbled on the plants. After several days of this, the women tied the goats, determined not to let the owner have them back until he promised to watch them. The next day, however, the owner did not come for his goats, and the women had to feed them. By the third day, they were so tired of looking after the animals that when the owner finally came, they pushed the goats back on him. When Baba returned, he sat occasionally on a sofa in Pop's living room, but the room had tall windows with bars, and the summer heat was intense. It was so uncomfortable then, Mara recalled. The glass got so hot. We kept the windows shut, but it was too hot in that room. While Baba was at Pop's, he had a local Muslim boy brought to his room so that the boy could get to know and love him. Baba had brought back a surprise from Rishikesh, a female mastiff puppy that was first called Gulgul, which means roly-poly. Baba himself had purchased her, fed and taken care of her on the way to Ahmednagar. She was kept as a watchdog at Meherzad, and Kaka took care of her there, though Mera thought Kaka did not train the dog very well. Kaka shortened her name to Gul or Gulu, flower, but later, because of the boot-like white markings on her paws, the women renamed her Booty. The sidebar says Booty would later be the mother of Mastan, Baba's favorite dog. And at another sidebar, it says it was at Pop's that Baba noticed Mera limping from her earlier volleyball injury and gently lovingly applied iodex to her knee. Booty was a beautiful puppy, Mara said. She had a lovely jet black coat. Baba preferred black dogs to white ones. Booty's coat was so thick you couldn't separate it to see her skin. The fur was thick, like a husky, not silky. Banja was with them at Pop's, but Mara did not care much for this dog. Banja wouldn't make friends with us. Anyway, I didn't like dachshunds. Narina liked it, and the dog was fond of her also, so she took care of it. She would give Banja a walk and then tie it to the foot of her bed. A circular was issued at this time stating that Baba would be engaged in a special type of spiritual work during the 2 months from 21 May to 20 July 1948, and that this would be a period of spiritual crisis when he did not wish to be disturbed either by correspondence or interviews, except in the case of those specially asked by him. Baba was working regularly with Ali Shah and drove back and forth between Ahmednagar, Mehrabad, and Mirzad. On 7 June, Baba left again by train to contact musts in Gujarat. A second must trip was made at the end of June to Bombay. That year, Baba also fasted the final 3 days of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, ending on 21 July, which Baba had indicated previously was also the end of his 2 month period of special spiritual work. Baba and the ladies. I think they're all ladies. Meru, Jalu, Naju, Naja, Saltoon, Goher, Khorshed, Sarwar, Mani, Mera, Gulu, and Baba in the middle, Sunamasi, Katie, Meru Dastur, Kakubai, Rano, Daula, and Narina behind. So that must be the lady named Daula just in front of Narina's nose. Interesting. She has a interesting hairdo. They're cute.
Which one has the interesting hairdo?
Oh, the one on the right. Um, that's just in front of Narina.
Oh, I see. I see.
I mean, I think it's kind of neat. Yeah, like a sort of like a man's cut in a way with a
Yeah,
comb over.
slicked back.
So, Mara in the drawing room. We don't say drawing room anymore, do we? I guess it's the same as a parlor where you
That's what
where
I
you have
think.
guests. Pardon me, Eva?
I think it's more formal than the.
Yeah, yeah. We don't do that anymore, or not much anyway. And this Baba bowing to Ali Shah. Cool. Mahabaleshwar. 23 May 1951. touching his head to his to Ali Shah's feet. There's, I guess that's Cracker, the Scotty, right? Yeah, Cracker. And that's at Florence Hall in Mahabaleshwar, 46 and 40 or 47, 1947. Oh, Mara looking sweet with a sweet looking cracker. The new house at Meherazad, September, November 1959. Mani did not take Mara and Baba's feet in the photo, which Mara regretted. So in some copies, Mara had their feet added. Wow. Mara was an early photoshopper. Chapter 81, Mara's home. Eva, pick up, please.
Sure. Meher's home. In May 1948, Elizabeth returned to America for 2 months on business. While she was away, Baba called Kitty and Rano to stay for a few days with the women Mandali in Abednagar. Mehru's sister, Nagu, also stayed at Pups during her summer holidays that year, as did Sushila and her sister, Indu, for a short while. Since the women would be moving back to Meherazad soon, where there were plenty of snakes, Baba told Kitty and Rano to learn how to give anti-venom injections. Gohir taught them during their stay at Pops. Kitty was to return to Meherabad, and Rano suggested that Kitty practice on her with distilled water before Kitty left. Mehera and the others came to watch. Kitty filled the syringe and stuck it into Rano's arm, but she did not like the spot. She withdrew the syringe and stuck it in again. 4 or 5 times Kitty did this without plunging down the syringe. Mehera began to feel queasy and had to leave the room. I was like a human cushion, Rano observed. 2 other Western women arrived in India on 15 July, Delia de Leon and Jean Adriel. It had been 11 years since Delia and Jean had last seen Baba in Cannes. Both women stayed in Bombay with Meherji for the first few days and arrived at Meherabad on 19 July. They were to stay on Meherabad Hill for the next 6 weeks until the new house at Meherazad was ready, and then stayed there for the rest of their 3-month visit. Baba met them on 22 July when he arrived that morning at 9 o'clock with Mehera and the other women. Sunamasi ceremoniously cracked a coconut at his feet before he entered the East Room with the women, and then Delia and Jean were called. And sidebar, Baba had begun spending the night at Gayar's again. Delia was immediately made aware of one change in the ashram. Previously, the Western women had been so free with Baba. When Baba came into the room, we would go up to him and kiss him. Now I was told that no one was to embrace Baba except for Mehera. When Elizabeth returned from America, On 27 July, she and Norina stayed at Pop's until the Mehera house was ready. On 6 August, all awoke at 4 a.m. to be at the Sarosh Cinema by 6, where Baba had arranged for them to see the film Gaslight with him. And scroll down, please. Let's see.
Oh, there is a sidebar that.
Baba, Mehera, and a few of the others had already seen Gaslight 2 years before in Dehradun. During one period of the monsoon season, when Shendi Nola riverbed was full of water, and the current became so strong it interfered with Baba's commuting daily from Gayara's cottage near Meherazad. He decided to sleep at Pop's. But on 8 August, Baba came and some of the men left again by train for must work in Madras. He returned to Ahmednagar on 19 August. It was on this journey that Baba was given 7 mangoes by a must. Baba pointed out how, because these were his last contacts with many musts, some of them were giving him little presents. Baba later ate the pulp of these mangoes, which were very sweet, and the skins and stones were preserved. A few days later, when the skins had become dry, Baba ate them also, and the 7 stones were planted by Baba himself in a seed box in Pimpalgan after he returned there. For several days, Baba watered the seed box himself, and within a few weeks, 7 mango seedlings pushed up their heads into the air and were transplanted in due course in the garden at Pimpalgan, where they are flourishing to this day. Sidebar: Wayfarers, 8 June 48, 1 August 1949, supplement page 7. Of the 7 mango trees planted in 1948, all except one survived during the new life, even though they were not watered regularly. In 1967, however, 3 trees died in a summer drought. The surviving mango tree still bears exceptionally sweet fruit. In the meantime, Delia and Jean had been wishing they could be with Mehera and the others at Pop's instead of Meherabad. So after some time, Baba called them to stay there. He arranged for them to eat at the ice factory bungalow with Norina and Elizabeth, and he also took everyone to another dawn matinee at the Sarosh Cinema on 22 August. Baba embarrassed Rano by having her follow the others to the ice factory for lunch and report back what they had been talking about. Rano did so while she pretended to talk with Kaka or created some other excuse for being there. After a few days, Jean confronted her and accused her of spying. Rano pretended to be outraged. While Delia was at Pop's, she had a conversation with Baba about Mehera, in which Baba told her, "Mehera feels every thought of mine. She is like my skin, like a protection. In the time of Jesus, Mary played that part. Radha, in the time of Krishna, and in this life, it is Mehera." Baba added, if Mehera looks into any man's eyes, my work with her would be destroyed. Baba was referring to his special inner work, Delia explained. Mehera was the counterpart. She represented Maya, and therefore it was as if Maya was being purified. When Baba was not on a must tour, he went to Meherazad several times a week to inspect the construction work on the new house. Twice he brought Mehera and the other women with him. The first time they visited, the foundation was being dug. A few months later, they went again when the brick walls were being erected. Baba led them inside the house on a tour. It was then that Mehera had the idea to have built-in closets added. Electric fittings were also installed, even though there was no electric services available at that time. Toward the final stages, the women went again. Do you like it? Baba asked. They pointed out a few things they thought needed rectifying. The cupboards had been placed too high in the dining room, and they asked to have them redone so they could reach the top. The architect had also made the front washroom too small. They complained about it, but because of the staircase, there was nothing the builder could do. During one phase, Padre was staying in Meherazad to oversee the installation of the electric wiring, and he had several run-ins with the women over how things should be done. Meru explained, we were particular about where the lights should be, and we did not want the large electrical fuse box right on the veranda facing you as you enter the house. In the end, it was put there, but much smaller in size. Padre didn't care for the decor and thought we were being unnecessarily fussy. About the women, Padre later grumbled. When they were building the Meherazad house, what a time they had. They even pestered God. Other problems were not sorted out until they moved in. For instance, in their bedroom, they had asked for two large closets with rods and shelves. But when they tried to hang their clothes, they discovered that the cupboards would not shut. The cupboards had not been built deep enough to accommodate the hangers. The Ahmednagar carpenters were not used to such finishing work, Mehera observed. They had not left enough space. When the house was almost ready, the question of furniture arose. They already had an old-fashioned but comfortable sofa set that Sarosh and Vilu had given them when they first moved to Meherazad, which would do for the living room. Other furniture, such as wooden cupboards, was acquired from Pop's house. Additional ready-made furniture, however, was mostly unavailable, so they had to have things custom made. Adi Jr. was running a furniture making shop in Ahmednagar. He was only too happy to oblige and sent a catalog to choose from. The women picked out what sort of furniture they wanted, the type of chairs, a built-in sideboard, and so on, and he supplied most of their needs. The dining table and chairs were made in his shop according to their specifications, as well as the furniture in Mehera's room, except for the beds. Although Adi Jr.'s shop built Baba's new bed, the women's beds were secondhand, sent by Sarosh. Adi did make a dressing table for each bedroom, complete with drawers, a mirror, and wooden stools. Smaller dressing tables for Kitty's and Rano's room in the small cottage were built at a shop, as was the one in Baba's room upstairs, along with a small cupboard for Baba's clothes and sidebar. Adi Jr. had recently remarried to Adi Sr.'s cousin, Franny Irani. Adi Jr. also made a divan for Baba that was kept in the living room. The women gave him a design that allowed Baba to recline with his legs supported. Baba's legs should not touch the wall, Mehera specified. On Friday, 27 August, a housewarming ceremony for the new Meherazad house was performed in front of many invited guests, although Baba and the women would not actually move in until 16 September. Baba opened the door with the golden key, and Mehera and Gulmai performed his arati. The property had formerly been referred to as Pimplegan after the nearby village, but now Baba officially named it Meherazad. And Eugene, I have to stop reading for a bit, but I'll be back.
Awesome. Thank you. Kaka delivered a short speech in English, which was relayed over a microphone from the men's side. Since the divan from Adi Jr. was not yet ready, Baba sat inside on a chair. The women gathered around him, but after a few minutes, Baba said that all should go and eat. So the sidebar says the microphone, that's the one that Kaka delivered a short speech in English in, the microphone was powered by an electric generator that had been installed. Baba liked everything fast, fast, Merrick commented. Get it over with quickly. On a table was a buffet of light refreshments, bujias, shev, which is a dry, salty, fried chickpea snack, and potato chips. Tea was served by Baba to each one. The guests sat outside in rows on satrungis, which are thin cotton carpets, spread around the driveway. No flower pots or benches then adorned the grounds, but there was a garden and lawn that had been laid out by Sarosha's gardener. Those women who moved to Meherazad with Baba were Mera, Mani, Meru, Goher, and Walu, along with Norina, Elizabeth, Delia, and Jean. Kitty, Rano, and Nadja came at regular intervals. The four men Mandali living at Meherazad were Don, Gani, Kaka, and later Vishnu. Generally, no one else was permitted to come there, except for Nagu, who spent her vacations with them. As mentioned, Baba used a separate bedroom on the second floor of the new house. Mera and Mani shared a bedroom downstairs, and Meru, Goher, Naja, and Walu at first occupied what is now Baba's bedroom, downstairs, in the main house. In the small outer cottage, what later became Naja and Arnavaz's room was used as a reception room for those waiting to see Baba. Narina and Elizabeth also stayed in the small outer cottage. Elizabeth lived in what became Meru's room, while Narina used the room next to it. Kaka cooked for Narina and Elizabeth, and they ate separately. Jean and Delia, when they were there, ate with them. A small dining room was made on the men's side, where the driver's room now is. And Narina and Elizabeth went back and forth through a small passageway across from their cottage on the women's side. And the sidebar says, the men Mondley always went back and forth to the men's side from behind the outer cottage, not through the garden. Vishnu continued to do the bazaar. When Baba was out of town on must trips, Vishnu remained at Meherzad to see to the women's shopping and other needs. Vishnu was a fine person who had great respect for women, Mehera said, and her in particular. But Vishnu did the shopping more by whom he was dealing with than by the quality of their goods. In other words, if he liked the person, he bought the produce instead of seeing if the quality were better somewhere else. Gohar and Nadja admonished him. Don't you look at what you're buying? Kitty had taught Mara the piano, and she also taught Mani how to type. Mani volunteered to teach Mara how to type, but Mara was not interested. She hated anything mechanical. It's good I didn't learn, Mara later remarked, because it isn't any use to me. Kitty noted a difference in life at Meherzad from their earlier ashram days. There was a big change in Meherzad. Things were never quite the same after Baba moved there. There was much more laxity. Baba's training must have been complete. I could feel the difference when I went to stay there. There were no rules. We got up when Baba wanted us to be ready for him. It was quite a different life than at Mehrabad. Only a few were called to live at Meherzad. This is still Kitty talking. Those who were less moody, who needed less pampering, who knew how to stand on their own feet more, who didn't worry Baba with their little worries and troubles. Baba had no time now to worry about people's moods in the same way. Meherzad was more like a family home. It wasn't an ashram anymore, it was a home. Though we still played games and charades and had Christmas parties, I felt it was different. It was Mara's home. Baba had trained Mara up until then absolutely strictly. Then she became free. In Urdu, Mehera Azad means Mehera free or relaxed. In Persian, the literal meaning of Meherzad is born of Meher, the sun. Baba was now more attentive to Mara, more so because she needed it more. She was getting older. I feel that Baba had to make many compensations. Mara was more mature. Baba himself gave her more freedom. This house, for example. Still Kitty talking. We began reading aloud. We sat together in the evenings and had jokes. Mara began to be a little bit free. Margaret says Baba had taken them, the Easterners, to the spiritual heights, and now he had to bring them down again, slowly, slowly, into the material world. He had taken them out of the physical world, They couldn't have any contact whatsoever. Then, when we Westerners came on the scene, we felt that gradually, a tiny, tiny bit, Baba did it so slowly, he brought them a little bit back in touch with the physical, material world. Delia added, whatever Mehera requested, Baba granted. It was lovely seeing Mehera in this special environment, Merazad, because really this place became Mera's own. Mera was able to do some gardening at Merazad, a hobby she adored. Baba told the women not to grow vegetables, which require a lot of water, but to grow flowers, which were difficult to get in the market. So while Baba was with the Mandali in the mornings, Mera worked in the garden. Thinking back, Mera realized later that they did not have time to do any gardening at Mehrabad. We hardly had any garden at Mehrabad. Walu had planted a few mango trees at Upper Mehrabad, which she looked after, but they died during the new life as no one watered them. So many years at Mehrabad, I didn't do any gardening. Baba knew inwardly that I loved to garden, though I never said anything. So he brought me here. Just see how sweet it was of Baba to come to Merazad, where he told me to garden. Baba knew that I felt happy to do it. See how Baba knows? Baba would be going on must work, so we would have this occupation. One day I was out weeding in the garden. I felt someone behind me. It was Baba, who had come quietly and stood right behind me. I stopped my work. It was a lovely feeling to be in the garden with Baba. Then we came inside together. It was 10:45 a.m. and Baba wanted his lunch. Baba never had breakfast, only a cup of tea. So he'd be hungry by 10 or 10:30 and want his lunch, which had to be ready. I called to Naja, Baba has come. Get the food ready. Naja brought the food on a tray. I served Baba at the dining table. Baba asked, what is there today? Mera might say, there is curry and rice. Baba, good. I like it. Mera would ask, Baba, do you want some potato pieces in the curry? And then serve a few on his plate. If the food wasn't ready, Baba was so sweet. Never mind, he said. I'll come back in half an hour. He would be back in 10 minutes. Mara continued. So I was gardening in the very beginning. Everything I would do, dig beds, spread manure. Later, when Kitty came, she helped me a few times. Afterwards, we had gardeners. There was too much to be done. And the sidebar says Mara never spoke to the garden boys directly, but issued instructions through Meru. When Kitty asked if there was anything she could do to help, Mara said she needed some manure shifted. It was a big job as there was a lot of it, but she only needed a small amount. When Mara returned later in the day, Kitty had somehow managed to find time to shift the entire pile. I won't allow you to help if you are going to overwork yourself like that, Mara told her. Oh no, Kitty protested. It's nothing, really. But Mara knew better. Kitty gave the women a colorful gardening book her brother, Herbert, had sent her, which Mara loved looking through.
Eugene, I'm back if you wanted me to read for a bit more.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Hey,
Thank you.
you're welcome. When Rana was called to stay at Marizot from time to time, she felt like Norina and Elizabeth's servant. Baba told her to clean their room and do their laundry. Once, Baba came to Rano. Baba came as Rano was washing the floors and asked, "What are you doing?" Rano said she was just getting everything tidy. There was not a cobweb in the place. Uh, Narina was hesitant about giving her laundry, but Rano told her, "Look, Narina, soon your clothes will be walking by themselves. It will just be harder for me to wash them." Narina handed them over. This went on for several months. At one point, Rano had to wash Elizabeth's two DeSotos also. Sometimes Meru washed the cars when she could spare the time, usually when Rano was not there. And sidebar, the cars were parked in the former stable, now Mondley Hall. The door for Mondley Hall to the men's side was added later. Khorshid was also called to Marizak for a few days, and Baba asked her, "Where will you sleep?" "Wherever you say, Baba," she replied. "No, tell me what you wish." Khorshid said, "If you are asking me, I would prefer to stay in the main house. But there's no room there. The other bungalow, small cottage, would be more comfortable. You could use a bed there." But Portia did not want to sleep away from Baba. As she explained, in the main house, I would be sleeping under the same roof as him. Therefore, whenever Khorshid came to Marizad, she slept on the carpet in the living room, which was fine with her, as it was directly under Baba's bedroom. A night watchman sat in the adjoining room next to Baba's small bedroom upstairs. A diesel powered generator was used for some time for a few hours, but it was shut off after 9 p.m. as it was too noisy. For light, a kerosene lantern was kept next to the night watchman so that smoke would not blow near Baba. Although in later years, Khorshid sometimes did night watch at Guru Prasad, Rana was the only woman to do night watch at Meherazad. At times, Rano had to take a tablet to keep awake. When Baba asked for food during the night, Rano held a lamp to make her way downstairs to the kitchen. Delia and Mani read mystery stories to Baba, but Baba sometimes read the English newspaper alone on his gadi in the living room. Later, Rano or Kitty read the newspaper to him. Rano became accustomed to gobbling down her food because at times Baba asked her to read the newspaper aloud during lunch or called her for the same purpose in the middle of tea. Baba washed and bathed in his own bedroom next to Mara's room, and Mara too used that bathroom. The other women used the sink in the small washroom next to their room, now Baba's room, and bathed in a bathing room at the back. Baba shaved with a straight razor using the mirror in the bathroom. He applied soap to his face first, even though he disliked it, especially in wintertime. Mara tied a cotton bib around him so that the water would not drip on his coat. She alone stood nearby to hand him the soap he used to wash his face and to pour water on his hands when he finished. She also took the razor from him. In those early years at Meherazad, Gohir recalled, Baba wasn't washing at the table. He used his bathroom. Baba himself could wash, shave, do everything, but Mehera helped by pouring water. He washed before breakfast. Baba didn't really eat breakfast prior to the new life. He had only a cup of tea. He was served tea first. We waited until he started. After Baba went to the mandali, Mehera went upstairs to clean his room and air his bedding. Meru helped her. Mehera wouldn't sweep the floors. Some special things she washed. She kept busy making pretty pictures of Baba in a frame, doing her own sewing or some household thing, arranging things. She kept busy all the time. Baba came for lunch and to relax. In those days, he sat on the gadi in the sitting room. We ate lunch inside in the dining room. Baba ate first, then we ate. He retired early upstairs. Mehera again recalled how active physically Baba was in those days. Baba walked alone so much before the 1952 accident. For instance, he came to the women's side by 10:30 a.m. and asked if the food was ready. I saw him coming on the garden path from the Mandalis. I hurried, literally ran to the kitchen to ask Naja about the food and came back to the about the food and came back and told Baba, just half an hour. Baba said, all right, I will come in half an hour. But after 15 minutes, he came again. Baba washed his hands, sat on the table, and I gave him his plate. I moved slowly on purpose, giving his plate and spoon as the food wasn't ready. I went and told Naja, you better hurry up. Baba is seated already. Meanwhile, Mani talked to Baba to while away the time, to give Naja time to let the rice cook well. One day, Mani and Kitty were doing a crossword puzzle for a contest, arguing over whether the correct word was founder or bounder. Mehera came and asked Baba, who said it should be founder. Mehera told Mani, but she did not mention that it was Baba who had told her. Mani did not agree and sent in the entry with founder. The correct answer turned out to be founder. When Mehera revealed that Baba had given the answer, Mani said to him, you only told the correct answer because Mehera asked you, which of course was true. And beautiful picture of Meherazad, 27 August 1948. Elizabeth, Norina, Delia, Rano, Kitty, and Jean Adriel. And sorry, Eugenie, but I have to go.
No problem. Thank you, Eva.
Oh, you bet.
And here we have a picture of a very contented looking Baba with Mehera looking at him. And he's got garlands on him, so he must have just been garlanded. Oh, it's at the Meherazad housewarming, 27 August 1948. Let's see. Let's turn this picture. Baba pouring tea at the Meherzad housewarming, 27 August 1948. Rano, Khatija, that's Ramju's wife. Daula holding Baba's alphabet board. Ramju's daughter bending. Oh, so that's Rano on the extreme left. Doesn't identify who the little boy is. Okay. Baba taking his ease, relaxing at Rusi Pop's, Ahmednagar, 1948. Mehra on the left. Oh, it's a composite of two photos by Nagu. Gotta rotate this picture. Okay. Baba embracing Mehra at her birthday. Meherzad, 30 December 1948. Chapter 82, Jokes. At Meherzad, the women gathered at 4 o'clock every afternoon in the living room of the main house, where Baba was seated. He asked them to read stanzas from Hafiz or other poems and to tell a few jokes. When Baba asked you to tell a joke, Mani noted, it was no laughing matter. We used to sit before Baba in the little sitting room, Baba on the gadi, and we around him. Baba would ask Narina to tell a joke. Narina had such wit, such a sharp intellect, such style and charm. She and Elizabeth sent a telegram to the States asking for a joke book, as Baba was asking them to tell jokes every day. When it came by airmail, we found it was a joke dictionary. The sidebar says Evan S.R. S.R.'s Joke Dictionary, New York Harvest House, 1945. The women divided the book into four parts among themselves, and each memorized three or four jokes that they told Baba in the afternoons. Poor Narina, Mani continued. Her section was often about Tommy and the teacher. Narina, like me, would change her voice to suit the different characters. Once, Delia had a bad cold and did not sit with Baba and the others. Baba was particular when anyone had a cold or cough. Stay away for a few days, he told her, but he was also concerned. When she came back, Delia started to tell him a joke from her section, but Baba made a face. I've heard that before, he said. Delia told a second one, but Baba said that he had heard that one too. Narina suddenly became very uncomfortable in her chair, receding deeper and deeper into it. Baba asked Narina, what's the matter? Is your chair not comfortable? Quite comfortable, she said, and then confessed, I'm sorry. I told you that joke yesterday from Delia's section. Delia was shocked, but Narina tried to be charming. Why did you do that? Baba inquired. Baba, darling, Narina said, I was so sick of Tommy. Here are a few jokes the women told during those afternoon sessions. Now, Tommy, said the teacher during the geography lesson, please name all the states in the Union. Tommy started off glibly enough, but about halfway through he began to falter. Come, come, prodded teacher. I could name them all easily when I was your age. Sure you could, Tommy defended himself. There were only 13 then. Another one was about a mental patient who thought he was Napoleon. The psychiatrist asked him, what makes you think you're Napoleon? God told me, he replied. I did not, said the little old lady in the next bed. One joke that Baba particularly enjoyed and that Mera enjoyed retelling over the years goes like this. The Sunday school teacher was trying to put across the idea of God's omnipresence. So she asked, now, Willie, where do you think God is this morning? In our bathroom at home, was the unhesitating reply. Whatever makes you say that? Asked the teacher, amazed. 'Cause just before I left, I saw Pop pounding on the door and hollering, good Lord, how long are you going to stay in there? As Kitty mentioned, charades were also a favorite pastime. When the women played charades with Baba, they enacted an entire scene and tried to guess the correct sentence hidden in it somewhere. Other forms of entertainment included staging skits and plays for Baba, most of which Mani wrote. Once they did a takeoff on Laurel and Hardy. Kitty played Hardy and Rano was Laurel. Despite all the fun, Jean's mind had been troubled because Baba was not explaining anything, quote unquote, spiritual to them the way he had in Nasik. But Baba told her, every word of mine has spiritual significance, which provides enough food for thought. Jean and Delia left for the West on 8 October 1948. Jean went to California and Delia to London. But Delia was to go from there to Panama, where she had relatives. Baba asked her to send him information about Panama, stating that he intended to visit that country on his next trip to the West. But as usual, his plans changed by then, and he never did go to Panama. When Jean and Delia were ready to leave, Baba told them, do not shed even a single tear, for you will be seeing me again, whatever happens. The women Mondley did not feel much affinity with Jean Adriel, so they were not particularly sorry to see her leave. She was too much of an intellectual. And because of her health, Jean was always pontificating about some diet fad. It was not easy for her to fit into ashram life because of her diet, Meru said. We didn't have much contact with her, but Mara and we all loved reading her book, Avatar. After Jean left, Mani wrote to Irene about her. Quote, Jean was with us for a few days in Pimple Gown, and we found her a very intelligent, charming, and polished person. Only, as I don't personally care for any extreme characteristic in a person, I found her obsession in the matter of health and diet rather disconcerting. Delia was also obsessed with snakes, but her company the women did enjoy. Mara recalled, Delia was very afraid of snakes, so she hardly left her room except to walk outside with Baba and us. We thought she wasn't well, but it was because of her fear of snakes. On 1 November, Baba left on a 3 week tour of Gujarat. And the sidebar says, while Baba was away, as before, Adi Sr. sent two all's well telegrams per day about the women. Adi also brought the women some novels from the Ahmednagar Club library. So, 3 week tour of Gujarat. On the way back, he stopped in Pune at Bindra House, where an incident occurred involving a bottle of Hewlett's mixture that Erich usually gave Baba after meals to help digestion. Baba sent Erich to have his bath, telling him he would wait to take the medicine until Erich was finished. But Baba did not wait and went to get the medicine himself. When Baba took it out of the bag, however, the bottle slipped from his hand and broke into pieces. Baba began picking up the broken glass before Gaimai ran over to do it. Erich returned, certain the accident would not have happened had he been there. Baba reacted like a child. He kept quiet and looked guilty, as if he had been caught committing some transgression. But the incident did not end there. A few drops of the medicine had splashed on Baba's coat. There are spots on my coat, Baba pointed out. Don't worry, we have another one, Manu said. I don't want another one, Baba said. Turning to Erich, Baba was plaintive. What should we do now? What will Mara say when she sees these stains? How pained she will feel when she finds I've been wearing a dirty coat. You know how particular she is about my clothing. Baba then agreed to remove the stained coat and put on one that Manu brought while the other one was cleaned. He returned to Merzad on 24 November. At some point in the previous must trip, Baba had given up reading anything, even the mail and newspapers. From now on, everything would be read out to him. For Christmas that year, Baba took the Merzad women to Mehrabad. A fancy dress contest was to be held that day. They all made their own costumes or helped one another. Meru became a pirate and Mani a circus dwarf. Mera also participated. A makeshift stage and curtain were set up under the tin shed. When the curtain parted for the program, a Christmas tree was revealed in a large flower pot, surrounded by other flower pots full of greenery. Suddenly, the Christmas tree came to life and stepped out of the pot. It was Mara. She was covered from head to foot with leaves and branches taken from the hedge, tied on with green strings, and on her head was a large star. When everyone realized who it was, they clapped in delighted surprise. Sidebar says, Mani had fashioned a green cap, which was pulled down, completely covering Mara's face. Baba asked, Where's Mara? And Mani said, But Mara is already here, and lifted the cap to reveal Mara smiling shyly. One of Goher's duties at Merzad was to look after some chickens and manila ducks, whose ducklings Mara took to Baba on a tray. For her costume, Goher dressed as a rooster, so Kitty decided she would become a duck. Every morning, Kitty gathered feathers from the manila ducks. She stuck them on her blouse and came on stage quacking loudly. It was very funny, and Baba was highly amused. And the sidebar says, another time, Kitty and Rano dressed as the goose and the gander and performed a spirited goose stepping dance to the song, Anything You Can Do, I Can Do Better. Goher's father, Rusi Pop, had done a magic show for Baba in Quetta, and Baba asked him to repeat it for the women at Upper Meribad. Mera was also present and enjoyed his tricks. In honor of Mera's birthday that year, which fell on the 26th, a few days later, on 30 December, Baba took the women Mandali on a picnic to Gyun Diolali, an hour's drive away. Baba and the Merzad women rode in Elizabeth's car, while those from Mehrabad came in the blue bus. It was far away, Mera remembered, but when we got there, it was a lovely place with a nice dock bungalow, tall shady trees, and a garden. They played games in the morning, such as bobbing for apples hung from a tree, with their hands tied behind their backs. For lunch, they had a meat pulao prepared by Chuggan Master, and there was another special treat, a bottle of port wine somebody had presented to Baba. We were told to stand in line with glasses, Mani recalled. Baba poured a little into each glass and told us to drink. Though it was only a couple of tablespoons each, we girls were very happy to have this prasad. Baba celebrated Mera's birthday in a very special way. Ramju's daughter, Jibu, was standing next to Mani, and, being a Muslim, Jibu had never tasted wine before. She looked at it and turned up her nose. Go ahead, Mani urged. Drink up. Jibu was reluctant and brought it to her nostrils. Pinching her nose hard, She swallowed it while making a horrible face. Mani commented later. Jibu held her nose as if she were taking medicine. I was thinking, boy, I wish I could have her share. Mara, too, enjoyed the wine. I don't like the dizzy feeling, but I liked the taste of port. Baba liked beer, too. Once when we went out somewhere, he gave us a beer also. The women ate so much of the pulao that after lunch, all they wanted to do was sleep. But Baba said, to digest it, they should come with him for a long walk. Baba walked ahead in the warm afternoon, winter sun, through the sugar-cane fields, and they followed. They were hot and thirsty when they returned and drank cold water from the earthenware chattis they had brought, which gave Mara the worst cold of her life. They returned to Merzad around 2:30 p.m. and later Goher had to give Mara some pills. Mani had prepared a play for Baba, which was performed that same evening on the Merzad veranda, empty in those days, without the desk, table, or cupboards. Benches were placed on the ground, and those from Mehrabad also came for this performance. The play was about a new mother and her baby. Although Goher was the shy, retiring sort, she agreed to become the baby in a bonnet and oversized diaper. Mani put her in the cradle and brought milk to give her in a bottle. Kitty was in the play too, and Mara remembered. Baba couldn't stop laughing. Poor Goher herself was laughing. The sidebar says one person remembered Carmen Masi, the ayah, sticking a carrot in baby Goher's mouth instead of a pacifier. On 1 January 1949, a circular was mailed to Baba's followers, outlining changes in Baba's work during the coming year. The next day, Baba took the women to a morning film show. That day also, Ali Shah was brought to Merzad, and Baba worked with him the entire month. During this time, Baba settled the domestic situations of his close followers living in Mehrabad and Ahmednagar and appointed Kakabaria as the manager of Merzad. So we'll finish here at the bottom of page 366.